Hello guys and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria and today we're going to be repotting some plants. I just also wanted to introduce the little hamster man. Oh, look how cute he is. Okay, today we are going to be repotting 3 plants. I'm going to get started with my Alocasia Frydek, which I ordered from Green Space ID. You saw in the last video. It lost all its leaves, unfortunately. It had one, and then there was one that was like okay, but it also fell off. And I've been trying to do the plastic bag propagation for it, but the moss is getting kind of moldy, so I think I'm going to put it in soil, which is what the other alocasias are in, and that seems to be working. So we're going to start with that first. I'm going to use the same container. I'm just going to dump all the moss out. Okay, so these roots are absolutely beautiful. Those are so beautiful. I have to make the soil mix, so I'm going to show you what I've been doing. So I'm going to start by putting some indoor potting mix in my bowl. It is very dry. You know what, maybe that's all they were in, just indoor potting mix, because this does have a bit of perlite in it as well. It's got sphagnum, peat moss, coco coir, perlite, and fertilizer. So I've had this since last summer actually, and this is like what I like to use as my base. It's got a decent amount of perlite in it, so I think I'm gonna hold off on adding more. So I'm just gonna scoop some in there. And it does have like a few growth points that I think are going to develop into new leaves. But I'm going to put it in a plastic bag and then just let it do its thing. I probably won't keep it in the terracotta while it's in the plastic bag just because I don't want any more mold or anything. So yeah, that's the first guy. Next, I think I'm going to do my whalefin sansevieria. So I got him a few weeks ago and he's been chilling. It's really dry. He's a 6-inch sansevieria. I was thinking about putting him in this terracotta pot. That's what he's been sitting in just for like watering purposes and stuff. But I have this really nice plant stand that I had some aluminum plants in, but they died, unfortunately. And I have some more propagating right now at my parents' house, but I probably won't be planting them anytime soon. So I think I'm going to use it for the whalefin sansevieria because it fits. It's about the same size, maybe like an inch, half an inch bigger in diameter, but the height is basically the same size. So I think this is a better stand for it. It also has a little bit of a hard time standing up. Like right now it's standing up, but sometimes when I put it on the carpet it just falls over because it's so heavy. So I think this will give it a little bit more stability. So for this one, I'm actually going to make a mixture of potting mix and some perlite. And I guess I will add a little bit of orchid bark. That's what I usually do, depending on the plant. I mean, this one's, I think, sitting in like coco coir, so I'm also going to add that back in. The soil seemed pretty fine. The plant's been doing really well, so I think I'm going to add that in there as well. But yeah, if it's philodendron, I'll add more orchid bark and perlite just to make it more well-draining. Take him out of his pot. Look at these roots. Oh my gosh, those are beautiful. Some sides, but okay, oh my god, these, oh my gosh, it's got a pop. Babe, do you want to see this pop? Well, it's so cute. Okay, let's see if I can bring it. Do you see that little white nub right there? That's, ooh, got a lot of dirt on the floor. That is a little baby that's gonna pop out, but I'm gonna let him hang on in here for a little bit longer till it gets, you know, big enough to actually pull out. maybe I'll propagate it, but oh my god, that's so cute. I'm gonna be honest, does not have any holes. I try to get pots that have holes in them, or if not, like put something at the bottom, like rocks and stuff. I don't really water snake plants that often, so I don't think I'm gonna have a problem overwatering. Yes, eventually you're going to need to repot it or take it out, just because minerals will accumulate at the bottom when you water it. That's just something to take into account. If you're going to use a pot without a drainage hole, I know it's really bad, but it's okay. I've never had a problem because of a pot not having drainage holes. So, yeah, like the aluminum plants that were in here before, they dried out because for winter break I was gone for like 2 weeks, and yeah, it was very hot and dry in here, so that's the reason. It wasn't because of overwatering or anything. I don't think I've ever really overwatered a plant. So yeah, it fits. Oh, very nice. I'm gonna put a little bit more soil down there. Oops. It's such a messy process. I'm so jealous of everyone that has an outdoor space to repot their plants. I used to do that over the summer when I was living at my parents' house, but fortunately cannot do that in this apartment. Okay, and then I'm gonna just make sure that there are a few roots sticking out up here, so I'm gonna make a little bit more mixture. So he's pretty straight now. If you see, yeah, he looks pretty good. Pretty happy with him. I'm just gonna add a little bit more soil because he's still a little wobbly. The last plant is a plant that I've kind of, well, no, we're gonna do two or maybe 3 more plants. The next plant I'm gonna do is a plant I actually got for Christmas time. Got him from Lowe's, or no, Home Depot, and he's been doing amazing. He's growing a lot. I took quite a few cuttings off of him. Yeah, he's doing great, except for his soil has like really dried out, and then every single time I water it, it just comes up, and it's quite a pain in the butt. I just don't think it's absorbing water, and I just watered these plants like less than a week ago, so it might still be a little bit wet. I know you're not supposed to reuse soil in general, but if there's nothing in the soil, then I have nothing against it. I mean, just add more fertilizer and stuff, I guess, but so I think I'm gonna do that because it's still like decent soil. It just needs to be broken up. Put him in this pot. I'm gonna put some of him in that pot, and then they'll put the rest to hang, and then it can just eventually grow more. Let's see. I'm going to, yeah, I just don't think it's very well draining. It's very much like the alocasia soil, where it's like it looks healthy. It's nice and black, but there's just no like perlite to it really. So I'm gonna add more perlite, that way it doesn't like clump up every time I water it, and add some more perlite and orchid bark in here. Should get in a cup. Yeah, it's gonna absorb some of that water too. It's not too moist. That looks significantly better. Add just a little bit of orchid bark in there too, because that helps philodendrons. They really like to, actually philodendron literally means lover of trees. What they like to do is they like to grow up trees. That's why a lot of philodendrons and pothos can be staked. It's because they stick their aerial roots onto like other trees, or in our case, you know, usually stakes, but usually those are made of like wood or some sort of natural material. Okay, so I didn't really attach it, it just kind of like fits on there. It's a plastic sausage for now, and it's gonna help all the soil stay in the pot. if you actually get other aerial roots covered, it will grow roots from there, and it'll help like the plant grow bigger and like fuller on the inside too. So that is another little tip. I think especially now it's very useful to reuse soil that your plants already come with, especially if you know it's like healthy bug-free soil. Just because like a lot of us don't really have access to soil due to like being kind of quarantined. So this kind of helps. Of course, if the soil is not, if it has pests in it or if it's really awful soil, I wouldn't recommend reusing it. That's all up to you. You get to should just use a scoop. Yeah, so when I make soil, I like to make sure that it's about 50% soil, 50% perlite. Perlite just really helps drain with drainage and make sure that you don't get root rot. And there's air for the plant's roots to breathe, which is a good thing. And make sure you press down too so the roots are secured in there, and you can see how much more soil you really need after that. It looks so much more beautiful, especially after I water it, and then make sure all the sticks are in there. All the roots are buried in there. So this actually came, I feel like a lot of plants, technically, like philodendrons and monstera and sonis and stuff, they come from cuttings, and if you take them out, you'll see like there's just like the end of a stick. And make sure that is well buried, because that will help not put like as much stress on the roots, I guess, so they're not like hanging by the roots. All right, well, that's the first part of this plant. Oh, another way to reuse your soil, I actually heard Becca de la Plants, she had a video, I don't remember what video it was, but there was a video where she talks about you can like how you can reuse soil, and she mentioned that you can actually bake soil, and that helps like kill any bacteria or germs in it. That's another really good method to clean your soil and reuse it, because you know it's good soil, and if you're going to spend money on it, might as well just reuse it, you know. I don't have the exact information. I will try to look it up and add it somewhere on here. That, and then hydrogen peroxide, here's another really good method where you just pour hydrogen peroxide through the soil and then like let it drain out, and it should be disinfected. I don't really have any bacterial problems or bug problems at the moment. I keep a pretty close eye on all my plants. I mean, they're all in just one room, so I look at them pretty much every single day. I can see if anything were to happen, so I'm not really worried about that. But if you just get a plant and want to reuse the soil in it, that is a good method to disinfect the soil. Grab a dryer sheet. A really good method to prevent your soil from falling out of terracotta pots or any kind of pot that has drainage holes is to put a dryer sheet at the bottom, because the holes are pretty small and they're not gonna, nothing's really gonna get through. I would recommend using one that's already used, because it's like more crumpled and it doesn't smell and it doesn't have like the weird powder stuff on it. But I don't really have any right now. So I'm just gonna use a new one. Just trying to like wash off kind of, or like crumple it up, and yeah, this. So I'm going to just cut out a small piece. People also, I think, use like all sorts of netting and that kind of stuff to cover up those holes. This is pretty easy, and everyone has dryer sheets usually. I mean, most people do, I think. Okay, so we're gonna start by adding some soil. Yeah, and it just kind of like helps it so it doesn't fall out. I'm just gonna add a little bit because it's already pretty big. Okay. Make sure you grab all the roots like this. Okay, and I'm just gonna plop this boy in here, and then add soil around the top. So yeah, push it down, and then you have another beautiful plant, and this one actually is hanging super nicely So I think I'm gonna put this one in a macrame on the shelf. I'll show you guys what it looks like afterwards. Because it looks really nice and it's hanging down. You can't really see the terracotta too much. This is a Philodendron giganteum, I think it's pronounced. I don't know. It's like the really giant ones. So it's still a baby, and it definitely needs to be repotted. It's got like roots coming out from all sides, and it's also in a very weird mixture. I'm not entirely sure what it is. There's definitely some orchid bark and perlite and soil, but it's very, very hard. Like, I think there's salt in it or something. So this is soil I'm actually not going to reuse because I really don't like it, and it just gets really hard and gross. And I watered this like at the same time I watered the other plant, and the soil is very like nice and like wet still. This is just hard and gross. So I'm gonna actually put this in a trash bag and throw it out. Ooh. So let's see. I had another plant, an alocasia, that came like that, and I feel like it's not very good for the alocasia, but I'm also kind of scared to repot the alocasia just because they all hate me so much. So I mean, it doesn't have, like, it's got a decent root system, but it's not like humongous. So I guess this is a little bit bigger. Maybe I will just put them in here because I think it would fit perfectly in here, and it looks normal, most normal. I don't really have an 8-inch pot. Kind of try to cap all my plants at 6-inch pots. Don't have enough space for them. So I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna take the dryer sheet. Kind of just square. Start adding soil. Actually, before I do that, actually, I'm going to add more bark, because philodendrons do like their bark. It gives their roots something to cling on to. And actually it helps them like grow, because they're constantly like looking for more bark to cling on to, so it helps root grow. So now it's a very nice and sturdy plant. It's not going to fall out anytime soon. Yeah, and it looks so much better. I'm so happy that it's got new soil. It's actually very nice. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram at michigan.plant.diaries. And please subscribe. See you next time.